Hi, this is Kamal. Welcome back to my channel. Today I have a great show for you. Today I'm going to be talking about all my prime lenses, and I'm going to talk to you about the focal lengths, how I use them and where I use them. So stay tuned. So the next lens that I want to talk to you about is probably my all-time favorite lens. I've already made a detailed video about this lens in combination with Leica SL2. I'll add a link to that above. I can't say enough about this lens. Just look at that design from Zeiss. The Otus line is the flagship line from Zeiss, and this is the 55mm Zeiss Otus f1.4, which is probably the most popular lens among the Zeiss Otus line, because the focal length is probably the most versatile, and you can see it's beautiful, sleek. Even the metal hood is made of metal. It's an all metal construction, and with the metal hood attached to it, it looks like a unibody. It's heavy. It weighs about a kg in weight. I'll quickly take you through the specifications, and then I'll get down to why I really like this lens and what I use it for. The focal length, as I said, is 55mm. The aperture range is f1.4 to f16, so it tops out at f16 as the minimum aperture. It comes in Canon EF mount and Nikon mount. This is the Canon version. So I've been using this lens with the Canon 5D Mark IV recently, and even before that I was using this with the 5D Mark III as well as the 5D SR. This brought out the best in the F5D SR because of the high megapixel, 50 megapixel sensor. This lens is rated to bring out about 40 megapixels in real resolution from that sensor. So it's an extremely sharp lens and high resolving lens. The focusing range is actually 0.5 meters. So it's about almost 1.5 feet is the minimum focusing distance. So it's not very close focusing. It does focus up to infinity. So 0.5 meters to infinity, that's roughly about 1.5 feet to infinity. And it has a huge image circle, 43 mm, that's almost in medium format territory. So you can actually use this with crop sensor medium format cameras if you adapt it to them, such as the GFX 50S and 100S, and also the crop medium format cameras from Hasselblad. So it has about 12 elements in 10 groups. But let me tell you why there's such a special lens. It has very low distortion, extremely well controlled color fringing. It is an apochromatic design, which means longitudinal chromatic aberration is also very well controlled. In my experience over several years of using this, I hardly got to see any kind of chromatic aberration. More than all that, it's just the look, the medium kind of format kind of look that this lens gives you. That fall off in light and fall off in depth of field in shooting wide open with this. The image contrast, very contrasty without looking unnatural. What you're really looking for in the medium format look, a lot of us look for, you get with this lens, and it has never disappointed me. I've used this for shooting portraits, of course. I've used this for shooting landscapes. I've used this for shooting travel images, because once I put this lens on my camera, I just don't want to take it off. It's that good, even though it's a little heavy, and it's a manual focus only lens, which means your photography is all that more deliberate with this. Yes, you're going to have a few hit and miss when shooting wide open, especially doing portrait photography, but I don't mind that because when you get the image in focus the way you want it, it's magical. It's definitely one of the best lenses I own, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to hold on to this for quite a few years. So if you're looking for a high-end lens to take your photography to the next level, and you don't mind using a manual focus lens, and you want the medium format look without paying the medium format price, this is the one to get. And moving on to the next lens, this is the 85mm, my dedicated portrait lens, the Sigma 85mm f1.4 art lens. It's a beast of a lens, as you can see. It has a filter thread of 80 6. So it has a filter thread of 85 mm, a huge front element of this lens, and it's huge, heavy, but doesn't feel unbalanced. And this is my one lens that I would call my dedicated portrait lens. On portrait shoots, I usually pair this with the Zeiss 55mm, where I'm shooting full length portraits with the Zeiss, and 3/4 lens and close-ups with the 85mm. Sometimes I interchange the use as well. There's no hard and fast rule in photography. You're allowed to be creative. So, but this is probably the one lens I would call my dedicated portrait lens. I don't really use for anything else. Again, very well built. One of the faster focusing lenses in the Art lineup compared to the 35mm. This is probably on par with the 20mm. Fast focusing and pretty accurate for 85mm f1.4. I've actually had very few misses using the autofocus in this compared to the 35mm. The chromatic aberration is very well controlled. Of course, there's some vignetting wide open, that's to be expected, but that quickly goes away from around f2.0, and at f2.5 it's very negligible. And usually I shoot this lens at around, I do shoot wide open, but most of the time I'm actually shooting around f3.2. That's like a sweet spot for this lens, and I get really good results that way. This lens is so good that I don't think I really need to upgrade. Even with my Leica S2, it works perfectly fine with the MC21 adapter, and I see no reason for me to upgrade to the DGDN version. If you're looking for a portrait lens, definitely highly recommended the older HSM version, the Canon EF mount. If you're using Canon, I don't think there's any RF equivalent to this right now. But yes, the newer version has just come out for the L mount and E mount, and that's the DGDN version. So if you're going mirrorless, that's probably the way you should go. Or if you can get good deals on a used copy of this lens, I would definitely suggest you go for this, because I don't see anybody using this for filmmaking. So you definitely don't need the autofocusing, continuous autofocus feature that the mirrorless cameras offer, and it works pretty fine with the Canon DSLRs. So it's a very good lens, so good. I don't see any reason to change this lens for the near future. Very good portrait lens. So on the final lens in this lineup of primes is my macro lens. This is the Canon 180mm f3.5 macro lens. It's an L lens. Here you see actually this is it mounted with the MC21 adapter. So I have been shooting this lens mounted with the MC21 adapter on my Leica SL2 as well for macro photography. So it has a focusing limiter, so you can actually limit the range of focus to have faster autofocus. But practically most of the time I use this lens, as most macro lenses are used in manual focusing mode, and I would rather move back and forth rather than using the autofocusing feature on this for accurate macro focusing. The nice thing about this lens is, like the other, like the 70-200, it also can be combined with the 1.4x and the 2.x teleconverters. So it can essentially increase the focal length of this macro lens and extend the focal length using the converters. So it's obviously a dedicated macro lens, but because of the large focal length, you can also use it. In a sense, you can use it. I've used it for some high compression telephoto landscape images. I can also use it for portrait photography. Since I don't have any portrait photography lens longer than 85mm, like the 105mm or the 135mm. So this is, and I don't have the 70-200mm as well. I've sold both my zooms. So the only long lens I have right now, which is more than 100mm and 105mm in focal length, is this lens. So currently I use this in certain situations. If I'm looking for those kind of high contrast telephoto portraiture, I can use this lens. But it's primarily a macro lens, and it's probably one of the best available for that as well. So there you have it, folks, all my prime lenses explained. Hope you found that interesting and useful, and you'll be able to apply that in your own photography. So let me know what other topics you want me to make videos of in the comments. Let me know what you thought of this video, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel. Till the next video, bye bye.